Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Today's video we are here to break down, react and discuss that beautiful game of football which saw Rangers come away from Ibrox with a 2-1 win, sending Galatasaray home empty-handed and us into that Mula called the Europa League group stages. Now before we go any further on with today's video and dive in to discuss this beautiful game, every single person who's clicking on today's video knows exactly what needs to happen. We need a thumbnail. Can you guess what it's going to be? 3, 2, 1. Now, ridiculous YouTube stuff to one side, diving right in to this game of football. Like we talked about in yesterday's video, it was going to be a tough game and it was all about how Rangers started this game, and I thought we started it absolutely spot on. We didn't allow them to settle on the ball and get comfortable right away. No, we took the game to them and our first chance came within the first 2 minutes of the game. Now, it wasn't a clear-cut opportunity, but it was a clear sign of intent from Rangers that we were willing to go for them. And you saw Ryan Kent do what he does, man. Skipping by someone, he finds Hadji. Hadji tries to link up with Morelos, but their goalkeeper, their backup goalkeeper, to be fair to him, is off his line quick as a flash, and he manages to nip in just before Morelos can get there. And that play from Rangers just continued, as in the 5th minute, there were some moments of magic once again from the boot of Tavernier. What a captain's performance that is, by the way, but we're going to speak about that as this video goes on. But Arfield does very well to win the ball back, passes it over to Tavernier. You know he's a willing runner. He owns that right hand side of the park. He basically does everything, the attacking, defending, he does it all, and this time he's positive, he gets on the football, he's driving us forward, he whips an absolute perfection cross into the box, but it's just a whisker away from Scotty Arfield managing to throw his left stud at it. Well, that's 1-0 in the 5th minute of this game, but that swift attacking play from Rangers was beautiful in the first 10 minutes or so of this game. Now, unfortunately, that attacking momentum just couldn't continue much longer after Connor Goldson's deflected header was knocked over the bar when it looked like it was gone in. Galatasaray, as you're all expecting from a Galatasaray side, did get on the ball. Belhander started to turn it on a little bit, glide by people. Feghouli, who we spoke about in yesterday's preview video, has been a danger man in the wing position, started to ask a couple of questions, Barisic and Tavernier, as he switched a couple of times through the first half. I don't think he'd done it as much in the second half because he was getting no joy, but you could see what they were trying to do and they were just settling slowly into the game, and that was slowing us down for the next 10 or so minutes. And throughout this little spell of possession for Galatasaray, the little spell of possession for Rangers, there was a couple of half chances, especially from the Rangers perspective, where Ryan Kent is just running about putting his heart and soul on the line for Rangers. That's what he's all about. He's never ever still, he's never lazy, always willing to track back and get involved, and he's reading a couple of slack passes from Galatasaray, and one of them hits off him, being honest. It's not like a perfect pass, but he's there in the right position, his work rate gets him there, bounces off him, it gives a chance for Morelos to have a strike at goal after he runs a bit, but he's a bit hesitant throughout the entire game, if we're being honest, but especially during this point, and he tries to find Hadji, and the game sort of falls away from there as Galatasaray is easily able to clear it after Morelos takes a heavy touch from from Hadji's pass. Sorry, and that kind of summed up the rest of the first half. A couple of wee, oh here we go moments, but that final bit of quality just wasn't there. But don't worry, that quickly changed after half-time came and went, as we came out with a real attacking purpose. If you watched it through Rangers TV, you would have heard Graham Souness, Walter Smith, absolute icons and legends of this football club, saying what we need to do in the second half. We need to come out with more aggression, we need to come out with more just quickness and go after this team and have shots and force the goalkeeper into saves. And that's clearly what Steven Gerrard was saying in the dressing room, because the boys came out hungry, and we had a chance within the first, 40 seconds of the second half as Ryan Kent just took that. I don't know what size that number 27 is for Galatasaray, but he's too damn big, people, alright? Guy that size shouldn't be that quick and that nimble on the football, but Ryan Kent went, I'm better, mate, and he just, he just drops a skill. I didn't care what it was, alright? He drops a skill move, kind of fakes the shoulder, a wee shimmy, as we like to do here on the channel. He just rinses the number 27, whips a beautiful ball in, but Morelos' header, unfortunately, is kind of hit the wrong way, as he probably should have went back across the goalkeeper, but it is on target and at least started asking a question. And because we started asking questions, we started getting answers. That's usually how that works, because a couple minutes after that header from Alfredo Morelos, the team is at it, and it starts with the boot of Tavernier. Of course it does, man. Brilliantly weighted ball, zipping past the midfield, slicing right to your man Hadji, whose first touch is absolutely immaculate to kill the ball dead, and the second touch is even better because he just slides a beautifully weighted ball in behind the defence, and full credit to Scotty Arfield. I mean, I absolutely love that man. As you all know, that guy will run his heart and soul in, but it's usually the finishing touches that can sometimes be frustrating from Scotty Arfield. But right there, with all the time in the world, looking the goalkeeper right in the eyes, that is absolute quality for him, getting his first goal ever in European football, and the first goal for Rangers in this game. Beautiful build-up play, beautiful goal. We're absolutely bouncing. And with us taking the lead in the game and being in control at this point, it would have just been the most Rangers thing of all time to concede that sucker punch little goal there, which we've all seen too many times. But thankfully Connor Goldson was on the ball and really started to turn it on. From the second half onwards, I thought he was absolutely immaculate, and he was big and impressive in the 57th minute of this game as they sort of hit against all the attacks that we were doing. The catches on the counter-attacks, a brilliant wee ball in behind the defence, flashing it across the goal after the wide man beats Barisic far too easily. But thankfully Connor Goldson has marked and marshalled Falcao perfectly, and he's there to stop him for scoring and making it one each. But now it is time to talk about my most favourite moment of that entire game, apart from the final whistle, of course, but it came in the 58th minute, because if you ever question Rangers' quality, or how good Rangers can be and the style of play that Rangers play, and try to talk negative and talk this team down and say we didn't play good football, just look at what we did in the 58th minute of this game, because it starts with Alan McGregor. He finds Connor Goldson, who finds Tavernier, and guess what Tavernier does? Drives the team forward. Brilliant weighted pass into your man Morelos, who's Morelos at this point was really out the game, let's be brutally honest about that, but this time his link-up play is perfect. He finds Hadji, who then slips it to Kamara, who finds Ryan Kent. The ball ends up going on a wee bit of a triangle between Kent, Barisic, Kamara, but eventually finds its way back to Barisic. And you know what happens when the ball is out in the wing with Barisic, you're going to get a cross in. And what's absolutely unreal is when the cross does come in, who's in the 6-yard box, right? Who's in the 6-yard box 1-0 up versus Galatasaray in the second half to see your team go there, make the moolah and make it to Europa League group stages? It's your skipper, it's your right back Tavernier, in between the two centre halves that are absolute sleeping, and he's there with a big boy skipperoo header that's worth a hell of a lot of moolah and possibly another midfielder in that engine room. Oh man, my ticker was almost blown out my cheeks, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put it that way. That's his 7th goal in his last 6 games, yet he's apparently having a bad season. Really? Is he? Is he having a bad season though? The skipper deserved that goal, and his performance was truly immaculate. Pausing the all game recap right frickin' here. If he hadn't even scored in this game, he'd have still been my man of the match, because anything you could ever ask from a captain in a game of football, you got it from Tavernier. He was vocal, he was loud, he was screaming, but he was leading by example. He was willing to run 50 yards to try and make a pass. He was willing to put pressure on players. He was willing to get on the ball, whip crosses in, whip free kicks in. He was willing to be the guy that's got the spotlight on him, and you just saw that from that. He was just shining above everyone, and it was a terrific team performance, in my opinion, where you could have maybe made an argument for a couple of people to win the man of the match, but when you compare them with what Tavernier did in this game, it's night and day, man. He was by far the man of the match. He was just so far above everyone. It was scary. But back to the game recap. After the second goal went in, it was feet up, comfortable. We just took over this game, and we looked like the only team that had enough quality to go and get the third. We were playing sharp football. We were playing nice football. We were slicing teams open. We were skilling and thrilling. Hadji was doing no look passes and all sorts. It was beautiful to watch. It was that comfortable. I started to really pay attention to the fact that Clive continually called Kamara Camera. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, if Kamara is going to go out there and play as well as he did versus Galatasaray, call him Kamara. That's all I'm saying. He was absolutely outstanding, and the name was as flashy as the man's actual play. But didn't stop me imagining what it would be like if Kamara managed to assist Alfredo Morelos in this game, and having Clive and Alan McCoy just having a mispronunciation off with Kamara and Morales. But diving to the 80th minute of this game, we had another moment of magic from Tavernier as he whipped in an absolute beautiful cross to the back post. Either Connor Golton or Morelos should score in this, but when you actually see it back, it's an absolute sitter for Alfredo Morelos. But I thought that miss at the back post sort of summed up his overall performance. I don't know if he was trying too hard to get the record, but it wasn't his best performance. But let's no freak out and say he was absolutely terrible, because he still played his part in the two build-up of the goals. Round about this point, by the way, Galatasaray's best player on the night for me, Belhander, was taken off in the game, and that only left the best Alander on the park, and that was our centre-back Alander, who bossed nearly every aspect of this game as well. Now, we all know what's going to be talked about next, but before we get there, can we all talk about the fact that their manager just absolutely lost the plot and was like doing this to Steven Gerrard, and Steven Gerrard was just staring at him like this. What are you doing, you wee weirdo? Now, I was lining up to do a one-liner on social media and fire that out on Twitter about that, but before I could hit send, the ball was in the back of the net as we did switch off just slightly from a corner. For the first time all night, we switched off defensively. It's a good cross in, but the marking isn't up to the scratch to what we expect this season. And what makes it even worse is if Al McGregor doesn't try to make the save, Jacko's headering that off the line. But again, I'm not going to blame Al McGregor for this, because if your goalie's no going for that and Jacko isn't there, you're asking why your goalkeeper never died. So, I don't know, it was a bit of a mix-up at the back there, a bit of comedy errors, and a wee bit unlucky for Jacko and a wee bit unlucky for McGregor. But you're up against the top side. They are eventually going to score, and that's why I predicted a cheeky 2-1 in yesterday's preview, by the way. You're welcome. But with them scoring, it did give us the old flashback to some nippy bum time, which is responsible for these greys in the outsides, and the next 4 or 5 minutes was very, very nervy. But if you go back and looking at it, they didn't create none. They didn't create a chance. McGregor wasn't forced into a fantastic save, and a lot of that has to go down to Hollander, and especially Connor Golton. Love him or hate him, 3 times they rattled that ball to that boy. It's about 8'5". It honestly makes Kyle Lafferty look tiny, that 27 for Galatasaray, getting him forward. But every time they tried to get him involved, who was big, who was powerful, and who was commanding? Golton won every single header, and that's what you want for your centre-half, and I thought he'd done that absolutely to perfection. They didn't have a sniff, and if you look at the game and you look at the entire aspect, the chances that was created, the way the game actually went, 2-1, in my opinion, flatters Galatasaray. But that is the game relived, and that is the game recap done and dusted. Now I just want to sit back and talk to you and just say how utterly proud of this football team that I am, ladies and gentlemen. Heart, desire, work rate, togetherness, anything you could ever want, and actual quality in there as well. That's what you got from Rangers tonight. Absolutely scrum-diddly-umptious. The only bad thing about the entire night was the fans weren't there to enjoy it and be a part of it. But we know the way the world is right now. We can't do anything about that. All we can do is look to this team and hopefully get a bit of relief for them. And by God, they're giving us that and more, man. My smile honestly can't come down. I have no idea when this video is actually going to get posted, because I am too hyper, I'm too happy. But that's what it is to be a fan, and this is the highs that you get when things they go your way. And by God, did every single one of the players that pulled on a Rangers shirt roll their sleeves up and give everything for us and play to a standard of a Rangers player that you want. So with that being said, I want to ask you what your thoughts and opinions are on this game. Who stood out to you? What do you want to talk about? Get involved in the comment section below. While you guys are actually doing that, I'll tell you who my man of the match is very, very briefly, because I'm pretty sure I already have. I don't know, I've been speaking for a while. I'm just too happy, ladies and gentlemen. But my man of the match was the skipper. It had to be, surely. And now that me and thee have had their say, let's sit back, relax, and hear from the people on Twitter. There's been 2,903 votes already, and there's still over 50 minutes remaining. That's disgusting, nation. Thank you so much. 4% votes for Ulla, 6% votes for Hollander, 14% votes for Scotty Arfield, but the far and away winner with 76% of the people's vote is the skipper, and they've got it spot on in my frickin' opinion. So let's see what they've had to say then, shall we? Peter Ramsey is the first one in, and he rates in Yabba Dabba Doo. Absolutely amazing Tavernier. That's why he is the captain. Sorry, but that camera actually ran out. I've been talking that long. The next one comes in from Alan Murdoch, and he writes in, voted Tav, but could have easily been any one of the 6 or 7 of the boys that pulled on the jersey. The Default, Camara, and Stephen Davis were terrific. Lovely goal from Scotty Arfield. That goal was as good as I've seen, and both Goulton and Hollander were absolutely outstanding. CJ Dillon writes in, Captain Tav, what a performance. Brilliant from our leader. Kyle writes in, Tav's been incredible. Shout out to Arfield and Davis as well. Bring on the draw. There's about 7 or 8 Tavs right now, and I couldn't be happier. The boy deserves it after that performance. Jimmy Bell Loyal, what a name, what a guy, writes in, Tav, but I thought Kamara and Connor Goulton were class as well. But the last one I'll read out in tonight's video because I want to get this up sometime tonight. We'll scroll all the way down to the bottom and we'll stop it right here, and it actually comes from Stevie G RFC, and Stevie writes in, I voted Tav, but I just want to leave this frickin' here, and what a performance for that young laddie as well. Talk about pressure on the old plump bags for an opposition's fans that call his dad God. I thought he was kind of drifting in and out the game in the first half, but when he was moved more central, I thought Hadji really came alive, and you didn't always get 10 out of 10s for the likes of Hadji and everything like that. Otherwise you'd be at Real Madrid worth £150 million, but the reason you actually keep them on the park is the perfect example of that first goal. They are capable of that, and how many years did we go afoot someone that was capable of slicing a defence open like he did for that first goal? But that's me all done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. Couldn't be happier, couldn't be prouder. I'm going to enjoy this one, and I look forward to seeing what you've got to say down there in the comment section below. But as always, I've been CJ Novo 992. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.